Well, Brianna's in a, no pun intended, between a rock and a hard place here with Jemmy being gone. Is she mad at the Stones? Is she mad at herself for trusting Cameron? Is she all of the above?
Um, it's a really good question. I feel like maybe a little bit ago, Brianna would have been mad at herself. But I think as she's grown, she's learned to be a little less hard on herself and a little less judgmental toward herself. So I do think that there's definitely a bit of overspill of old habits where I think she is frustrated that she trusted somebody so quickly. She does usually have her wits about her and usually doesn't let people in so easily, but she did. Whether that was to just kind of move the misogyny she was facing at work aside, or whether that was really because she felt some form of a friendship with Rob, which I do think it's a bit of both. Yeah, I think there's a glimmer of her being mad at herself for that and kicking herself, but actually I think she just knows that the world is an ugly place and it's just one more thing that she has to get through. But I definitely think she'll be holding her children tighter post all of this.
I was going to say, she's a single mother at this current point because her husband's in the past, her child's in the past, and she's not exactly sure when she'll see any of them again. Maybe that's going through her mind as well.
Definitely. I mean, I think as soon as Roger goes back to the Stones, I think she really is relenting to the fact that that really could be goodbye. Just like it was with her parents. And yeah, it's just her and Mandy now. And I think that the reality of the travel of the Stones and just of Outlander by nature and the Fraser family, I think Brianna knows that goodbyes might always be forever. And I think with Roger, she really, really thinks it is. She knows that he won't come back without Jemmy, and that could be years or that could be never.
She has said goodbye for now to Roger, but we don't know if she's said goodbye forever with her parents as well. So that has to be a little bit of influence on her as well. I mean, a mom in the past, someone who didn't always get to raise her, so she must be also focused as well on Mandy and giving her sort of the motherhood that she didn't necessarily have as well.
Definitely. I mean, I think Brianna, for most of her life, felt like somewhat of an orphan. Her mother was always away. Her father then died. Then her mother left her. Then she found out she had another father, and then he wasn't there either. So she's very much kind of just had herself to rely on. She's always been her first and last line of defense. And I think she doesn't want that history to repeat itself for her daughter. And yeah, she's definitely going to be not the mother she never had because Claire definitely stepped up and was a great mom when she was there. But Brianna's just going to make sure that this child always feels that constant love and doesn't feel abandoned.
I mean, Jimmy could come back same age as he was when he left, or he could come back, years from there. So she has to be prepared for, as you said, when in time she'll reunite with any of her family again. So there's a heaviness going into this section as well for Brianna, certainly in that. Um, The castle, though, is extremely beautiful, and I have to ask what it's like for you filming in those. Is it getting lonelier with with you and just Mandy?
Yeah. I mean, look, firstly, I think Brianna's biggest fear at this moment is that Jemmy is dead. I think that's where her mind wants to go to in its darkest sense, but obviously she's focusing on the fact that she knows in herself and in Roger, she trusts him that they will do anything to get their child back if he's well and alive. But at this point, yeah, I mean, I don't think it's even gone through her head yet that Jemmy might come back at a different age. I think she's really preparing, well, not preparing for the worst, but I'm sure she's thought of the worst. Um, and she'll just fight until she gets him back, no matter how long that takes. In terms of being there, yeah, I mean, it's quite a big place, and she's just sort of rattling around it on her own with Mandy. And I think you can feel that in some of the scenes this season. I think you do very much get a sense when Brianna walks into the kitchen and Mandy's outside in the trailer asleep of just this loneliness and like this echoey, empty room. And I think that that is really a good reflection of just Brianna's loneliness in this season.
So much of the start of the season was so powerful for Brianna, watching her with this misogyny and trying to prove herself constantly. And now here she is, also having to be a single parent, as we talked about as well. And every moment of Outlander this season is just palpable
I
and
know.
just to see, because you never know, could be next episode where they are reunited. You never know. So certainly every episode is must see. Is there an episode this season that you were most proud of the work you put into?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good observation from you. It's just relentless, isn't it? It's just kind of like, oh, one more thing to deal with. I mean, Brianna's a really tough cookie. She always gets through things. She's been through more than most people ever would in many lifetimes. But this, I think, once your children have been ripped from you, this is just one thing that she absolutely has no tolerance for. And yeah, I just, in terms of scenes, I think some of the stuff with Rob Cameron, it was very hard actually because we were in. She obviously locks it. Well, not obviously. I don't know if you're there yet, but she locks him in a priest hole, and kind of a little bit of interrogating him in a soft way than that word implies. But I think that was tricky because of the passion that you feel when this person has like taken your child away from you and you don't even know if your child's alive and they're just kind of messing with your head and messing with you and almost toying, using your child as bait and meat. It's grotesque. And so I think Brianna is quite confined by this small space and just kind of, it just feels like her thoughts and feelings are going to explode in that room. So that was quite a memorable scene. I think that was probably one of the hardest scenes for Brianna to try and hold it all together. And then obviously she's got this awareness of Mandy being around too. And so she's trying to protect her from A, everything that's going on, and B, just the sounds and the emotions and the energy of it all. So it's tricky. She's kind of trapped in her own head and in a small space.
Well, this season is just exceptional, and we're bittersweet as we come to these last few episodes for this season, knowing there's only one more to come. What has being a part of the series meant to you?
I mean, it's been a third of my life. So the biggest takeaways are I feel super honored that I've managed to play such a strong, awesome character who I do feel has paved the way for many young women to yeah, stand up for themselves, be fearlessly themselves, and know that it's okay to have a voice. And Claire is a very similar character in that way. Um, like the experience, I suppose. I've worked with so many actors from so many walks of life, very, very experienced actors, very seasoned actors, new actors. So you get a lot of taste of so many different people and how they work, whether that's directors as well or cast crew, whoever. So that's super lucky to have condensed into 10 years, 9 years. But the people, honestly, like I've met some of my best friends on the show and they really will be friends for life. And in an industry where we're all moving around a lot and working, in small snippets, place to place with different people, to have that through line thread of good friends is really special. So I'll always be grateful to Outlander for that.
Well, you just are exceptional in this role. Start to finish, you've brought such depth and love and breath and so much to this character. It means so much to the fandom that you've been a part of this series and you've done it such justice.
Thank you. That's really kind. I really appreciate that. Thanks.